Greetings, ghouls. Welcome to Deadsville Horror Talk. I'm your host, Ronin James, and to my left, these two lovely ladies join me once again for another episode to talk about Five Nights at Freddy's, the most popular movie out right now.
Apparently.
To my far left, my co-host, the lovely Steph Infection, as always.
Hey, Scream Hearts.
She, like me, is not familiar whatsoever with the video games and the lore of Five Nights at Freddy's.
No.
So we had to call in this lovely creature to my left, immediate left, Miss Maddy Meek, who is very familiar with the game and will be our resident expert on the lore and game Five Nights at Freddy's. Say hi.
Hi. I like Five Nights at Freddy's.
Maddy also brought in some Chuck E. Cheese
yes, for my collection.
merch from her collection. You got some Chuckies in the corners. And
Yeah, we got some old school stuff. I'm a bit of a Chuck E. Cheese nerd for sure.
I love it.
We don't have any Five Nights at Freddy's merch to show off, but,
No.
you know, we're not really the Five Nights at Freddy's demographic, Steph Infection and I.
No, we're a little up there, I think. In the I didn't even know it was a game until after.
Until after? Really?
Until I turned it off and started yelling about it and Googled it, and then I was like, oh, it's a game. Okay, maybe I should give this another try.
Oh, God. Yeah. Well, you're more out of touch than I am, Steph Infection.
I didn't even know. I had no idea.
I mean, I game, so I do know a little bit about games, current games, stuff like that. But Maddy played the game and was quite knowledgeable on the lore, and yeah.
I mean, I know a decent amount of things. I'm not like a total expert, but I have played the games, and they're super fun, and there's a lot of really exciting lore, and it goes a lot deeper than you might think. But we'll get into that later. Yeah, we'll get into that.
Yeah, before we get into it, a little bit about us. I'm Deadsville director Ronin James. I'm a professional stuntman for like 2 decades. I've been in a bunch of stuff. I direct stuff now. I do a lot of stuff. Content is key these days, so now we're making a lot of content, including producing this little podcast. And I also write and direct Deadsville Rock and Roll Mysteries for Dickie Devil and the Deviants and do their music videos. And I've got some shorts and a feature and a sitcom and all kinds of fun stuff in the works. Maddy's my puppeteer for Deadsville Rock and Roll Mysteries. She is the, not the voice, but the movements behind Doggy Deviant, while Kane Hodder is the voice. That's Jason Voorhees, the longest tenured Jason Voorhees. Kane Hodder is the voice of our puppet dog. And Miss Steph Infection, actress and producer on Deadsville Rock and Roll Mysteries, among other things. Pops up in the Deadsville lore as well.
Yeah. Wherever I'm needed.
What do we got next, Steph Infection? We got a music video on
We
deck.
got to know my goth for a music video we're going to be doing.
Oh
Dickie
my
Devil
God.
and Deviants, yeah.
Yes.
Choreographing that, so.
Also, stay tuned, as Dickie likes to say, because we're about to have the director and the writer, writer, director, and writer from Stalked, the horror movie that I was stunt coordinator on. They're going to join us later this week, I believe, is the plan.
For the next episode, yeah.
So the next episode is going to be an interview with the writer and writer-director behind horror movie Stalked. And I'll be interviewing them, and we'll talk some stunts, and maybe Maddy will jump in as well. She was there.
Yeah, I was there too. That was fun.
Maybe we can even get some Zoom in with Ricky at some point.
Yeah, I would love to hear what he has to say about everything. about.
But yeah, our writer and director will be in first, and they're going to talk about the process of making horror films. And this was their first big feature, so it's should be a good conversation that we have with those guys. Looking forward to it. So more on that soon. But today we are talking Five Nights at Freddy's, and we're going to do our first takes, which will include writer, director, cast, all that kind of stuff. And we'll give our spoiler-free impressions first. Yeah. Before we dig deeper and break out the shovels and get into some spoilery stuff. So, we'll give you a heads up before we kick into spoiler mode. In the meantime, though, first takes!
Yeah. That didn't get me.
I didn't get you. I can't always get you. No. Kind of like this movie didn't get me. Or maybe I just didn't get it. Who knows? But first takes. Let's start over there with Steph Infection.
Oh, we doing that?
Well, yeah. We got to do our synopsis and all that. So you're going to read our synopsis, Steph Infection.
I'm like, you were jumping to the end of our first
Sorry,
takes.
yeah.
You want me to give you the synopsis so we know what our first takes are even on?
Right. This is the long video game movie, long in development video game movie.
Yeah, it was postponed like way long ago, so we've been waiting a really long time for this movie.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it was on. They like stopped working on it for a while, and now it's finally out.
So much so that they made a couple other movies that weren't Five Nights at Freddy's, but were actually Five Nights at Freddy's under different names.
Like other people beat them too.
Willy's Wonderland.
Is that the same people?
It's Five Nights. No, it was like
it
was people that were like, oh, that Five Nights at Freddy's movie got delayed. Fuck it, let's make a movie with our own animatronic killer.
And it was an awesome movie too. It was fantastic.
You had that, and then you had what was the other one that they did? I
don't know if Banana Splits counts.
Oh, Banana Splits. Yeah. Banana Splits counts.
That one.
Yeah, because originally that was supposed to be Five Nights at Freddy's, and then they like lost the rights to using Five Nights at Freddy's, so they got the rights to Banana Splits instead, and kind of reworked the script to make it.
I did not like that.
I wasn't. So I didn't watch it. My dad was like, "It was awful." So
yeah,
I'm
it was
like,
terrible.
I'll just watch normal Banana Splits if I want to watch Banana Splits.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this was a 2023 PG-13 horror movie.
Which is very important to keep in mind with this.
Yes, it's very much a kid-friendly.
Surprisingly.
I have gripes even with that. I felt
I agree.
They could have done a lot more with that PG-13.
I agree. We're gonna get into that, and we could do that very shortly. But go ahead, Steph Infection, read that synopsis.
All right. A troubled security guard begins working at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. During his first night on the job, he realizes that the night shift won't be so easy to get through. Pretty soon, he will unveil what actually happened at Freddy's.
Dun dun dun! Yeah. Okay.
That's that.
So I'm going to blaze through this Wikipedia article here. Give us a little more background. Five Nights at Freddy's is a 2023 American supernatural horror film based on the video game series and franchise of the same name, created by Scott Cawthon. Scott
Cawthon, yeah.
Cawthon. Yeah. Directed by Emma Tammy, who co-wrote the screenplay with Cawthon and Seth Cuddleback. From a story by Cawthon, Chris Lee Hill, and Tyler McIntyre. The film stars Josh Hutcherson as a troubled security guard who accepts a nighttime job at an abandoned family entertainment center where he discovers its 4 animatronic mascots come alive and are prone to murder. Elizabeth Lail, Piper Rubio, Mary Stuart Masterson, and Matthew Lillard appear in supporting roles. Development of a Five Nights at Freddy's film adaptation, as we were just saying, began in April 2015 with the involvement of Warner Brothers Pictures. Roy Lee, David Katzenberg, Seth Graham-Smith were set to produce. Gil Keenan announced as director and co-writer. After several production delays, the Warner Brothers version was no longer moving forward. Keenan dropped out of the project. March 2017, Jason Blum's Blumhouse Productions was announced as the new production company, with Chris Columbus set to direct and co-write. Columbus also ultimately left the project, and Emma Tammy was announced as his replacement. In October 2022, she was announced as his replacement in October 2022. Main cast confirmed December. Other cast additions were signed March 2023 with a budget of $20 million. Filming began in February 2023 in New Orleans. Ended that April. This was a total rush job.
Yeah. Which
Five Nights at Freddy's was released on Peacock October 26, 2023. It was theatrically released in the United States the following day by Universal Pictures. Film received negative reviews from critics, while audience reception was generally positive and has grossed, I can't believe this,
I know,
$217 million worldwide.
Oh my God.
That's insane.
So
That's crazy.
And the Rotten Tomatoes, the audience score was 88%, where the critic score was 29%. And I get, actually, now knowing more about the game and the background and seeing the movie a couple times, I'm like, I get that. Like, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
People are just excited to see it just because of what it is, but it's not that
It's
bad.
not a good movie. Oh, we're going to get there. But, yeah, and this one just blew my mind. So they released this the day before streaming. Mm-hmm. And then they went to the theater and still did $217 million worldwide, even though it was free to watch on Peacock.
So a little trivia, they said they made all their money back from production before it even was released, just from selling for streaming.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure.
They made it all their money.
And then
budget
theatrically, it was the fourth highest grossing horror movie opening weekend of all time.
Yes.
Of all time. That is insane. Of all time. That's the fourth. Yeah. And it was streaming. You could watch it on That's insane
and
to me.
we live in a society where nobody likes to go to the theaters anymore.
Nobody likes to go out. Nobody goes anywhere anymore. And somehow this fucking movie,
See, I believe it because, the Five Nights at Freddy's fandom is enormous. It's huge. There's so many people who are like super fans for this movie. So considering that we've all been waiting so long for this movie, I'm really not surprised. There's a lot of really, really big fans out there.
I get it. And this is, I guess my son, played this a little bit. I never really played it. I never played the game.
We should all play.
It's like a point and click, which I totally don't do.
I will just sit there.
I don't do those point and click games. They're too slow for me. I can't.
You can play it on a tablet. You can download it on your phone if you wanted to.
I don't know.
You can watch me play.
Yeah, that's probably more my speed. I'll watch. Well, you said there's a new one with like an open world where you
you can walk around and there's a whole story to it. And
there's actually like action.
I'll walk around a little.
I don't like point and click stuff. I don't do the old point and click stuff.
You're gonna hate it.
No, I hate it. Exactly.
But I can understand people said where they got that. I mean, it doesn't compare to the numbers of Barbie, but just how that's like people want to go see something that they're familiar with and they're excited. Like if you're a fan, so we were listening to a podcast and so they said that there was a lot of fans calling out stuff and teens and tweens and people were dressing up to go to the theater. That's where I get that. I get that whole scene and why it kind of made the money that it did. But I'm wondering if they're all as disappointed as I was. Probably not.
I feel like the younger kids probably wouldn't care as much, but I feel like
most of them don't care.
And I get that. I can actually appreciate it more now, kind of reading into it more. But we'll get into everything.
Yeah. We skipped our call to action, so real quick, make sure that you subscribe, follow, all that fun stuff. Hit the bell if you're watching on YouTube, or follow us on Spotify and Rumble. And anywhere else that you get your podcasts.
Yeah.
Or you or watching us. I don't know where else we're going to branch out to, but yeah, make sure you do all the things. And if you want to email us with your thoughts on Five Nights at Freddy's,
at deadsvilleHorrorTalk@gmail.com. Subject mailbag.
There you go.
Yeah.
So,
send us all something.
Yes.
Yeah, we got nothing.
All right, so let's get to the writers first, all right. Because I'm not going to get to the director just yet. I don't have as much to hate on her. Even though she did write this thing. So Scott Cawthon, obviously, he's the game developer. He's the one that came up with the lore and is responsible for the whole universe of Five Nights at Freddy's. So obviously that's his writing portion to this. You had Seth Cuddeback and Emma Tammy, who, do I even want to look at their other writing credits, man?
You pick one.
I'll take Seth.
I'll take Emma.
All right. What else has Seth written? Mateo, Kelp, Short, The Best and Worst Days of Joy. Right, he's got 6 writing credits. Jesus. Short.
Yeah, I don't see anything worth mentioning the Right Game podcast series. I guess that's where wasn't that the director was. That was their podcast, so maybe they're friends. I don't know. Nobody worth talking about.
No, this is I mean, this is like, to me. Let's discuss the writing real quick, because that's one of my big issues. There's just too much of it. There's just too much
in the wrong areas.
Convoluted bullshit in this movie. Like, just diving right in, we're going to attack these fucking writers, and I guarantee you that Scott Cawthon had nothing to do with the shit that we hate about this fucking movie.
Yeah, because considering, like, he's the guy that's written all the lore. Like, if you see, like, what he's written, it is so different from the way that the movie's written. I feel like he really didn't have a lot to do with it just by watching the movie and knowing about, like, how he writes things. I really don't know how much he wrote in this movie.
Well, now, and I don't know, and I didn't play the game. I don't know as much about the lore, but from what you've told me, this feels like these two people, Emma Tabby and Seth Cuddeback, just did the Hollywoodization treatment to his
concept
creation. That's all they did.
They made a separate movie and they just slapped Five Nights at Freddy's in there. And
we've got trauma, and we've got the kid, and we've got like the single parent kind of situation. And
part of that didn't bother me like I thought it would, but it was all the additional writing around it, like.
Well, to me, it was the again, we had this unnecessary trauma. Like, it just made everything too coincidental and just too, like.
Yeah. It's like it was forced. Relevant. Like, at the end of the movie, you realize that the whole situation.
It's relevant, sure.
It's relevant, but it's not necessary.
But not really.
No, exactly. It's not necessary.
Yeah, not really.
It's really, it has nothing to really bring to the table.
Lean in a little closer. Yeah, because you're not even registering on our
sitting
mics
back
here. Yeah, you got to project
I will do my
onto
best.
These mics so we can hear you. There's a lot of convoluted writing in here. There's a lot of unnecessary exposition. And again, without getting into spoilers, there's just a lot of extra stuff in here that I felt like they didn't need to do. You could have just had like where Willy's Wonderland succeeded was like, okay, here's the setup.
He's not even talking, really.
Not even that. And that movie had its own issues, but it was like, dude is like, he's the security guard at this place, and the things come alive, and he's got to fight them. There's your movie.
Yeah, and that movie was very, like, action-oriented, and it was all about the action and the violence and just Nicolas Cage doing Nicolas Cage things.
Right, which was a different direction than the game. Obviously, the game wasn't as violent from what I understand. It's more jump scare oriented.
Yeah, it's not really about like gore or anything like that. It really is about like survival, and it's about them it's about jump scares more than anything. It's not about violence necessarily. Like, the violence is more imagined than anything. You kind of imagine what the animatronics are going to do to you, even though it's not like you kind of know already, but like you can. There's room for imagination with the games.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So just because we're talking about writing, where I will say I get that they couldn't go in the direction of like Willy's Wonderland or whatever that was. That's what it was called, right?
Yeah.
Because it's all just like fighting and stuff. So they want this to be a franchise. They want to do many movies with this. They have a younger audience. They need them to have somebody that they kind of care about, like a hero in the movie. So I get you have to write a story. You have to have kind of an adult and a kid and get that backstory so you can keep traveling forward.
Right.
I get that. Where this fell is that certain areas of the background, they showed it 900 times.
Oh, it was awful.
And I was like, we get it. We got it.
Awful.
You could have done it twice.
Yeah. And the amount of hand-holding in this movie and, exposition and just
too much.
And like there was a lot of time spent in dream sequences. And I'm like, aren't we watching a movie about animatronic robots killing people or like scaring people at least? Why am I getting all of this this other peripheral stuff. And at the end of the day, it actually, like, I felt like it, all of that, that was all, that's what, again, this was the Hollywood created trauma that everybody's got to have in their movies nowadays. And they spent so much time on that it took away from everything else that the movie was supposed to be trying to do.
Yeah.
Like, for me, at least, like, I'm trying to get, you know, like you said, even if it's just survival horror that's going on, like, okay, then put us in the fucking pizza joint and give us some survival horror. Stop, like, I don't want to get, it's so hard to do this without getting into spoilers, but this motherfucker spends so much time sleeping in this movie.
I know.
I'm like, holy shit, he's going to sleep again? We're going to sleep again? I'd be mad. Like I get, believe me, look. All right, yeah, I'm going to get off of that because we're going to save that for the fucking digging deeper. I'm giving away.
Okay.
Yeah. My bottom line on this is...
Give me your actual wrap-up.
Yeah. Let's wrap up the first take here.
So I can get mine.
I get that this is PG-13. I get that their target audience was a very younger demographic. And I get that I'm definitely not their demographic, but that this is going to hit differently for somebody that played the video game. And there's so many people that played the video game, obviously that's what carried this movie. Because the movie on itself sucks. It's so boring. It makes no sense. It's so poorly written, so poorly paced. I don't even know if this person can direct or not because I couldn't even stay awake through the damn thing half the time.
No, it took me 3 days.
It took me a couple watches to finish it.
To finish once.
And then I had to go back and watch it again. And honestly, and I'm coming to it as a person that's never played the game, but I know that there's the game and all this lore, and I know these are characters that people love, so I was interested to see it. But sitting there watching the movie, I was bored as hell. I was like, oh my God, this is so boring. I can't believe this is what they did with this movie. But you know what? Looking at how this was, like this fucking thing said, like the Wikipedia said, like it was filmed at the beginning of this year in like 2 months and slapped the fuck together just to get it out. So it feels so rushed and shitty.
Maybe the future ones might be a little bit better.
Well, now that it made all this money and it's a viable franchise, you know, the studio is going to be like, I mean, Jason Blum is probably laughing his way, you know, this is a Blumhouse project.
And I'm give or take with Blumhouse in general, but
right. And it's a crap movie, but he's laughing his way to the bank right now because this thing is reaping it in at the box office, and it's a terrible movie. And he probably made this thing for like shit money, other than just getting the rights to it. That was probably the most expensive thing. That's why you get a director that has only directed one other fucking thing, and that's why you get these people to write it, because they don't have to pay him anything. These are bottom of the barrel people, and they hope they know that this franchise is going to carry itself with just the name on its own. The name is going to bring people in, so they don't have to put a good product out. You know, that's what I feel like.
Budget was $20 million.
Yeah, so that's pretty low, I guess, by standards.
It is, and
modern movies.
Well, yeah, because there's only a couple locations in this. The animatronics were great,
but
that was Jim Henson Company, so they probably spent most of their money with that. Honestly,
right? That's where most of the budget went.
Most of the budget went, and the puppeteers, because they had like 6 people on one of them.
And Josh Hutcherson's a real actor. I mean, he's good. You recognize him. We didn't really talk about him much, but
he's not big money.
He's not big money, but he was like a co-star of the Hunger Games. That's where you recognize him from. And then if you watch a show on Hulu, called Future Man.
Future Man, yeah.
Oh, hilarious!
So good.
Future Man was so good.
It ended
years ago, but
2020.
Yeah, it was such a great, hilarious.
I think we binged that when COVID started. We were like,
we were binging it during COVID.
Yeah.
It was great, and he was great. He's a really funny actor, and he's a really good actor, and he does a good job in this. The acting in it is good enough, but it's just so bad.
I think the acting is what kept me.
It's such a rottenly written movie.
So I'll just say, like, my first take, obviously I agree. I did not realize it was a game. I kept hearing and seeing people on social media saying, Five Nights at Freddy's coming out. I don't pay attention half the time. I'm like, okay, it's a new movie coming out, but I had no idea that it was a game, nothing. You had texted me and said, watch it. We were going to do the podcast. And there's a stream of very angry texts from me where I was getting I was getting like angry watching this and like by myself, and I was like, we're not doing an episode. Why are we doing an episode on this? Oh, it's a game. All right, fine, it's a game. And I was like, oh, this is awful. This is awful. I had to shut it off halfway through. I came back like 2 days later, like I needed a break, finished it, and then it was fine. And then when I kind of did a little bit more research on the game, just like loose research, and talked to Maddy, I had more of like an appreciation for some things in it, where I probably wouldn't have been so hard on the movie in general. But it's funny, we were listening to a podcast earlier, and the guy said the same thing. He goes, I would have been very angry if I watched this by myself. And I was like, thank God I'm not the only one that like was so angry. So overall, if you are like a fan, like if you want to go see this and you're going to shut us off before we dig deeper and get into all the spoilers, I don't know if it'll really matter, but
if you're a fan of the game, like this, and Maddy, you read your first take next, but to me, this movie is just fan service. That's all it is.
Yeah, so if you're a fan of the game,
it's just a giant fan service movie.
Yeah,
that's it.
It's free.
If you're a fan of the movie, you're going to love it because it's going to just have little cameos and it's got like YouTube celebrities, YouTube personalities who have cameos in it and stuff, and it's got little Easter eggs from the game and little cameo from one of the little characters and everything in it. And if you're a fan and you get all that's your, then you'll fan service it up. You're going to love it. You're going to be hooting and hollering. You'll be like, woo, yeah, look, it's so-and-so, and yeah. But if you actually want a good movie with a story that you can follow and characters you can care about and people that don't make dumb decisions, well, you probably want to pass on this one.
Oh, yeah.
If you don't give a shit, and it's PG-13, it would probably be a decent gateway movie for kids to kind of get into horror because it's not very bloody. There's no blood in it at all.
There was a little bit of blood.
There was a little bit.
Very little.
There was very little.
I feel like they went really bad in some for PG-13. I was like,
well, it's very dark with the whole child abduction stuff. It's very dark.
And I was like, holy crap! Like that's
so they like
bad.
Like I feel like younger kids, and I also feel like it would be very boring to younger kids. Like you're not going to get 10-year-old and down. I think you're really...
My kid would have shut that off.
Right. So I feel like it's a very specific, like in that 25...
Being a
15,
fan,
30-ish range where you grew up playing the game. I think it would be better for
tweens, if anything. Yeah. Like kids who were like 12 years old.
That's
like
what they
older.
said, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like actual 13, PG-13.
It's a tween movie.
It's a tween movie. It makes sense. Yeah, I think if you played the game, that's why after when I read, I was like, oh, I actually appreciate it more. I hated it, but like, let me get that. Like, I absolutely hated it. Yeah. But once I watched it again, I was like, oh, I can appreciate a lot of that just because, just
like I said, it's fan service and you recognize that they are paying homage to the game.
I would just be excited no matter if it was a crappy movie or not, just that I was seeing some of my favorite characters. Right. So I get that. I've gotten like that with, like the Haunted Mansion and stuff. And just, that was a great movie, written well. But, just in general, you get excited when you see things that that aren't typically on the big screen and something that is close to your childhood. It has that nostalgia.
No, I said the same thing when I was growing up. I was a huge comic book nerd. And I'll go back now and I'll watch like they had these old... Spider-Man live action and the Hulk live action and the Batman and Robin live action, Adam West and all that stuff.
Oh, I used to watch that.
And it's terrible. It's terrible stuff, but I loved it. And I still love it to this day. But it's probably written better than this is, at least. We had characters and development and all that. But it's very campy and cheesy, and I could, but because I love those characters, that was the only place, like, you could see your superheroes in live action in the real world was on these terrible, electric company. That this show was called The Electric Company, and it was like a kids. It was like would come on after Sesame Street, and it had like a Spider-Man segment where it had a live action Spider-Man.
Yeah,
and I would live for that because I fucking loved comic books and Spider-Man, and that was the only time we would get to see.
And there was nothing. It was like once a week, like one time, and then you couldn't see it again. So like me and all my cousins, we would go around Saturday morning and like be at one person's house just to like watch something. So
absolutely. But that was our fan service for us. Now, that was our first takes from two people that never played the video game.
Yeah.
Now we're going to get the first take from the expert, the person who actually played the video game, knows and follows the lore, loves the lore, appreciates the work of Mr. Scott Cawthon, and you know, will be our deep diver. But let's get your spoiler-free first take.
All right.
Lean in and loud on that microphone.
So, I think the writing was really, really bad. And the pacing, like both of you were saying, the pacing and the writing were awful. It was terrible. And see, I feel like with whether you like Five Nights at Freddy's or not, if you have a poorly written movie, it's going to be bad no matter what. I feel like, yes, there's a lot to appreciate, and they have little Easter eggs here and there for people who are fans of the games, but overall, it's not a good movie. It's not a good movie. I have a lot of issues with it. I have a lot of problems. I felt like it was just like they wrote like a first draft and just like went with it. And it's been proven here after you're reading the Wikipedia page that yes, they totally rushed it, and you can absolutely tell. And that just it's a job. We've been waiting so long for this movie, and I'm really disappointed. I just felt like.
Do you feel like because they rushed it now that it made money, like we were kind of getting into that? The next few.
I mean, maybe. Hopefully, they have
bigger budget, better.
Yeah, hopefully. Hopefully that's what you would hope, that they
probably just were putting it out there, see if it stuck, and then.
Well, yeah. Now that it made money, they should say, okay, this is a moneymaker. Let's get an actual decent writer and pay a good director to come in. I mean, and it's a shame. Like Matthew Lillard felt like a waste in this thing. Like he was in it, but it was like
he played an important character, a very important character. However, I just felt like the way that everything was executed with him and the way that everything tied together was just like you were saying, it was too convenient for all of the way that the story went. Yeah. And like even with the things that we found irrelevant that do actually make sense later on, it was just so there wasn't enough going on inside the actual place. There was so much going on in this guy's dreams, like you were saying. Yeah. It's just that has nothing to do with the games. That has nothing to do with the games.
Right. That whole part of it, the whole Josh Hutcherson's whole character with his sister and
we're not getting into spoilers.
No. But he has this whole backstory that has nothing to do with the game, and they just spend so much time. There's so much time devoted to this.
And I feel like I understand character development. I understand you're establishing something that you can connect to the character too, and like maybe feel sympathy for them or whatever, and feel connected to the character. That's what you do to make a good character and want to root for them. However, I felt like with the way that this was written, I don't care about this main character at all.
I
don't care
much.
at all. And it's just
because they kept doing it over and over again. Like, okay, like when you're going to do characterization, the guy has an arc and he's got to kind of like progress. But this guy was just sitting in a rut the whole time. He's just sitting down here and just like, oh, sleep, dream, sleep.
But even the backstory, it didn't make me care about him more. Like,
no, because that's all they gave you. They didn't give you anything else. There was no other character development besides that, the trauma of his life, and that's it.
And there was too much of that and not enough Five Nights at Freddy's. There was too much character development to where you spend most of the movie establishing a character's backstory that really doesn't matter, and there's not enough time spent in reality. And that was a huge issue, and that's why I fell asleep. I was just like, all right, this guy's going to sleep. I'm going to go to sleep too because this is awful. This is a horrible movie.
I think that's why I go to fall asleep. He kept going to sleep in the movie. I'm like, hey, that's a good idea.
Act 1 was like pretty good, and then Act 2, I was like, he's just sleeping the whole time. Like, that's it. So I turned it off and got very angry.
And by Act 3, they had lost me, and I was just like, all right, come on, just get this over with. God,
and they kind of did.
None of this doesn't even make any sense anymore. Oh God!
All right.
Yeah.
We gotta dig.
So would you recommend Five Nights at Freddy's? Steph Infection.
All right.
Would you recommend it?
I would only recommend watching it if you care and you played the game and you have any type of if you care about the game at all, or if you know the characters. It's free. maybe give it a watch, but no, I won't actually recommend this. I can't like respect myself and recommend it. So I'll say it's okay to watch if you really like the game, just to see what we're talking about, but I can't recommend it. Nope.
Nope. Maddy?
I am on your side with this. If you actually like Five Nights at Freddy's, I would say watch it, absolutely, because there will be things that you appreciate about it, but overall, you're not going to get a good movie, so just, if you're a fan and you're going to watch it, don't expect it to be an amazing movie. Just watch it because you like Five Nights at Freddy's. Don't watch it because you want to watch a good movie.
And hope maybe we'll get a good one after Five Nights at Freddy, too.
I hope so. I have high hopes for that.
Yeah, I'm gonna... Shit.
You have to question this?
Well, because the fucking... The puppets are awesome. The animatronics are really good.
Go watch Act 1 and then shut it off.
Yeah, I really liked them. And Matthew Lillard, while he wasn't on screen much, he was good.
He did it.
Good.
See, that's the thing with Matthew Lillard.
But it made me mad and bored and tired, and was just like, what is going on? And yeah, I mean, I'm just sick of seeing these shit movies with these first time or like no experienced directors just pandering to Hollywood's latest trend of fucking everybody's got trauma and it all ties us all together. How about just a security guard's got to go to a creepy old fucking pizza place and the robots are killing people? I mean, that's a perfectly good movie right there, man. You don't need all this other shit. So yeah, I can't recommend it. Even as fuck, man. The problem is, if the next one's really good, you've got to go watch this fucking stupid movie. Probably.
That's why I'm saying I probably am. I'm out at this point because I really could care less about the. I'm out. But if you are a fan of the game, like, watch this one.
Like, if the next one's awesome and it's got, like, even more robots and they're actually, like, killing... It's probably still going to be PG-13, though. They're not going to make it R, which is going to be a gripe.
They're going to have more time to spend on it, though, because, like, we had so many issues with this movie coming out. It was just inevitable for it to be a crappy movie because people dropped out, they rushed it, all these problems. So, like, if they actually sat down and actually, like... spent more time on it, I feel like you could get a really, really cool movie. So I'm really hoping that the second one is better.
I'll take it back. Maybe I'm not out, but I'm not thrilled about. I might watch the next one, but then I might be out. But in all seriousness, like, if we didn't have a podcast talking about movies, I'm out. Like I'm not going out of my way to watch the second one. I could care less.
Yeah.
Because animatronics killing or not, like, I just don't know the characters. I don't know anything. I wouldn't appreciate it as much, even if it was a good movie.
Yeah, but we don't know the characters in Willy's Wonderland either, yet it was an enjoyable movie because we all know Chuck E. Cheese, and that's your...
But it was just crazy.
Tie-in.
But this is too much talk.
No, I get you. With this is a little different because it's very right. There's very specific Easter eggs,
and I feel like you do have to know a little bit about it to have any kind of appreciation about it. You have because there are things that like there are references that like aren't established. Like if you didn't know what they were talking about, you just don't know. I feel like if you're not a fan at all, I feel like at that point, like there's nothing to appreciate.
I would be out at this point if I didn't have
it's a bad movie otherwise.
No, exactly. We sat there and you would call out certain things while we were watching it, and I would be like, okay, I'm glad that you're here because I had no idea.
As I'm angrily texting you,
because I didn't know that was
off now.
I'm like, I didn't know that was supposed to be a special thing. Apparently that's a thing that I should know, but apparently like.
Well, I'll say this just because we brought up Willy's Wonderland. If it wasn't Nick Cage and it was some other actor, no, I would not have liked that movie as much. That's a fact. I would have hated it probably.
He made that movie great.
He made it because it's angry, crazy Nick Cage. Like if it was just like if it was this guy in there,
you
like
watch Josh Hutcherson smash
I'd be
robots?
like, no, I would have thought that movie within itself. Like I appreciate it because it was Nick Cage like killing animatronics.
And he didn't say a word the whole movie.
And he didn't talk. But so if somebody else, if you plopped anyone, like I can't even think of anybody else that I would have liked in that role other than him that would have made it work. Like, I know. You got to really think.
Good call. I don't know.
So I don't think I would have. Yeah.
All right.
So it's not similar. It's Nick Cage.
All right. Fine.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on. That's the end of our first takes. We're not really recommending this one, but if you really love
if you play
Five
the game,
Nights at Freddy's and you're interested in it, you can watch it.
It's free. Like, it's free. So if you're bored and you like the game, yeah, go watch it.
You could even just watch it just for the animatronics themselves because they're really wonderfully done.
Oh,
they did a really great job. They're super
them.
accurate. Like, I that's what really made me want to go back and like continue watching it because
they're
just
the
really
light up eyes were creepy. Like.
And they're
really
accurate
good
to the game too. They're completely like 100%. They look exactly like they do in the first game.
Nice.
Yeah, so that part was very refreshing, not using like CGI and everything, and actually having
like it was people in costumes.
Yeah.
And there's like all these different things that they went through, and because it was a little bit difficult to have them move and do things, so I can appreciate that. I appreciate the movie more. Little things that I've read, but yeah, it sucked.
All right, well, that's going to do it for first takes. So toss me a shovel, Steph Infection. This is the time where if you... Did you bonk me in the head?
I did.
Oh, my God.
I did.
This is the point in the show where we're going to spoil the movie. So if you are going to watch this steaming turd and you don't want to be spoiled, pause now, go watch it. It's free on Peacock.
Yeah.
Go watch it and come back, and then you can join in on our tearing it apart as we rip this thing to shreds.
Yep.
Maybe we'll find some redeeming qualities in it this go round. But yeah, if you've already seen it, just hang in there because it's time to break out these shovels and dig deeper!
I was watching the monitors, waiting for you to flinch a little bit.
Nah, I don't flinch.
You don't.
Got him every time. All right, folks, it's time for Digging Deeper. Spoiler time, and man, let's spoil this turd.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
So, the opening scene, that was actually pretty good. That was
with the security guard.
Security guard, yeah.
That was
the
cool.
intro, that was kind of like.
Wasn't bad.
I was like, oh yeah, Five Nights at Freddy's. This is what I kind of expected. Here's what I expected: security guard in the fucking thing, and he's like running, and they fucking chasing him, and we get the fucking and the, like super tense moments, and it was kind of it played out very generically.
Yeah.
But it was good enough.
Yeah,
that
it grabbed it, especially PG-13. It grabbed it a little bit. Yeah.
Right. But it's kind of what I expected. It was like, okay, this dude's obviously being chased by the animatronics. Yeah. Got it. Okay, boom, boom, boom. Then we get the whole other. Then we went off.
Well, then we go. We see
fucking Mike Schmidt land.
Mike Schmidt, not our Hall of Famer, by the way. How we see him.
Yeah. Of note, those of you not in Philadelphia, Mike Schmidt was a Hall of Fame third baseman for the Phillies. Won a World Series. He's a legend here in town, and
Not
Michael Schmidt was the name of our main character, played by Josh Hutcherson.
Sorry. Yeah.
So, continue.
All right. Anyway.
Mike Schmidt's a schlub.
Mike Schmidt is, I guess he's a security guard at a mall. And this is where, we get how he's so attached, and we get his younger brother was...
Well, we don't get
that yet, but this is why I'm leading up. We're going to get there, and it doesn't matter because we're in the spoil section. We get that after, so it makes sense that he did this. But this is one of those moments with the PG-13 time that I was like, damn, he chases this dad fucking into a fountain. And it wasn't just like, I don't know, sometimes when you're watching a PG-13 that punches, like, you're like, all right, he punched him a couple times.
They're a little campy. No, this was brutal. This was a brutal assault.
Like, I was like, oh my God, he's going to kill this
vicious
guy.
assault.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we're just sitting there like, what is happening? Like,
Well, that's
like, what is going on?
Right. That's where
I immediately saw his face when he grabbed the kid, and I immediately went. I didn't even know he was really a security guard at that point because he was just getting his coffee.
Mm-hmm.
But I went, he thinks that kid's getting kidnapped, like right away. Like
right, and this is and again, this is like all of this is when this is all happening. You're like, where's the bear? Where's the robots? What's going? This isn't a pizza place.
Well, this is just the beginning. I didn't say that yet. I
was like, all right, man.
We got to get our characters.
But it was just so. I don't even know. It was just so over the top and brutal. And again, PG-13, and this dude is just like, now. I get it. The setup is that he thinks that the kid's being abducted, and it's actually the kid's dad, and he beats the shit out of this fucking dad.
But it wasn't this. Nothing was like dragged out at this point. Like we had the security guard getting taken away. Then we get our Mike and security guard. We get very quickly that he is overly sensitive to children getting kidnapped. Like, Amy, I said it right away. I was like, oh, so that's his father just pissed at his kid, and this is going to go haywire. Like, I saw all that happening, but the actual beating, I was like, damn. Then we get Matthew Lillard. Or does he go home first and then sees the kid?
Yeah, he goes home. We meet the kid. We learn that she's, I don't know, weird. His sister. She's weird.
You're weird.
She's weird, though.
Well,
she's like a weirdo.
She's got imaginary
Am I allowed to say special, or are we not allowed to say that anymore?
Absolutely.
I don't think she was considered special. The little girl?
Yeah, because...
No.
She was.
No.
Did they establish that? I don't remember that.
She was different somehow. She was
probably just the weird kid.
No, I'm telling you, there was something about her, like she didn't have friends or anything like that, and she didn't, like, she only had the imaginary friends. Like, she was on the spectrum, isn't that what we say now? I don't even know what to say.
You're not supposed to say any of that because it was never said in the movie.
I know, but it was implied.
No, it wasn't.
No, because when the teacher's talking to him,
she just is...
She was doing so much better because she was, like, sitting and talking with real kids.
Their mom died.
Yeah, but there was something about her, like, with not having friends.
Yeah, but their mom died.
I guess. No, I don't know. There's just so much trauma, it's hard to keep track of it. It's just so much. There's so much trauma. So much trauma.
I give up. Anyway.
All right, we'll go on.
No, so she, their mom died, so now he's trying to take care of his little sister. The aunt wants her for some reason, which I don't understand. I don't know why we were setting up this aunt trying to take him or her away from him, and like she said she would get money or something.
Yeah,
from
that
the
whole
state,
thing just doesn't.
But like he doesn't have any money from the state, so
again, that was all like unnecessary stuff. Again, we're going to get into all this, and that was more of the forced Hollywood drama writing that has nothing to do with Five Nights at Freddy's.
You know what would have made perfect sense, and I actually would have, like, if you need that background to say, like, he needs the job. So, like, you're trying to establish that he's got to go, he's got to get a job because
doesn't he just need the job anyway because he's got to feed his sister? I mean, he needs the job. He just lost his other job.
But
he needs a job. You don't need extra on top of this fucking woman.
That's what I'm trying to say. We could have had like CPS like come and be like, if you don't get, and then we would have established shit. He needs a job this bad where he's going to take nights and he doesn't like working nights. That would have been done. We didn't need the aunt. We didn't need the lawyer. We didn't need the random people she was paying
that she hires to go in. Like, but then if we don't have that, then literally the animatronics kill nobody.
No, we could have just had stupid people. He left the door open like they said, and people broke in to smash up the place. There didn't need to be an entire other story about that. It
I agree. I agree.
No,
There's
I think
other ways
too, and I feel like I feel like the character establishment is necessary, but I felt like it was really drawn out. Like there was a lot of stuff that, like you said, you could have cut out the lawyer and the aunt. Like that was not necessary.
I like the lawyer guy, but
he was
yeah,
funny.
Kind of funny. Yeah. But I totally zoned out so much of that because it was so drawn out. Like it's okay to have these things, but I feel like it really needs to be condensed so we can just get to the action. Well, like you understand what's going on, but like we can move forward afterwards because
We've done this so many times where there's been too much backstory or too much side stories.
And that takes up the whole movie.
We could have just had his parents died. He has to take care of his younger sister. He needs to take a job. Have CPS knock on the door. You really got to get another job. Boom, done. Okay.
Right.
That would have been
some kids broke in because they think it's funny. They get murdered.
Kids breaking in.
Whatever.
Exactly.
It didn't have to be like the babysitter's working behind the scenes and looking for something. Because now we have this aunt that I'm like, I really don't understand why she wants this kid so bad. Because
it makes no sense.
It makes no sense. Yeah. Like,
she can't get that much money from getting the fucking kid.
That's what I mean.
She ain't cashing that big a check from taking the kid.
I know ridiculous. I'm not a writer, but we've done this before where I've been like, we could have gotten from A to point F and cut out
there's a rule in writing in all types of writing you've got to self-edit, and when you go back and you write your first draft, you go back and you read your first draft and you start to cut out anything that doesn't move the plot forward.
Yes.
Anything that doesn't move the story forward, move your character arc forward, anything that is stagnant or like stale just sitting there, you cut that shit out. If you go and that's one of the toughest things as a writer. That's why sometimes they'll have an outside editor come in and edit your story for you, because the editor can see, this doesn't really do anything for the story. Let's cut that out. But again, that's to your point of this seems rushed and this was thrown together and this was a first draft probably that somebody came up with, that they were like, okay, like the creator was like, here's Five Nights at Freddy's, here's this stuff. And then they were like, okay, well, this is good, but this isn't a Hollywood movie. We need to make it a Hollywood movie. So we need trauma, and we need a kid, and we need a parent, and we need some more drama in there. We got to throw in some extra drama. And that's where they had to have the trauma was the fucking kidnapping, and then you had the kid, which I thought was special or whatever spectrum, but was what had to go through this arc of having no friends and talking to imaginary people to finally, by the end of the movie, through almost being mutilated by killer robots, learns to have friends somehow, which makes zero fucking sense. But hey, let's go with it. It's a fucking movie. I just attached it to, like, she went through her mom dying. She's super attached to her brother. She has abandonment issues. Like, they lost a little brother. Like, I didn't see, could she be on something? Fine, but she might be. But I just saw her kind of wanting to stay in her little bubble. Probably because of everything but it really wasn't even talked about. It was just like it was just like you're her world. Implied. They needed like you're her entire world. She rarely talks to kids here, but you're her world. That's what it was that made me think of that she was on the spectrum or whatever you want to call it, because at the one point the woman who's like the caseworker for her, whatever, that black woman with the curly hair. She's like a teacher, whatever she is. She says to him, that's her language. Drawing pictures is her language. She doesn't communicate. Because he's like, she doesn't talk to me. She doesn't da-da-da. Because that's what he said. She's like, I don't even think she knows I exist half the time because she's so nonverbal. And like that's what made me think this, because they kind of put that, they kind of float that. Yeah. And then and she's like, look at her pictures. She doesn't have to say it, but if you look at her pictures, that's her language. She talks through her art, and you're in all her pictures. So that's where I got the impression that she wasn't like. I get that impression. You know what I mean? Yeah, I get where you got that. So that's why I got that feeling. But then they don't explore that at all. It goes nowhere.
I didn't like.
It was mentioned once, and that was it.
And then just magically at the end, we have the teacher again, and she's sitting there just talking with kids, and she's just like, "You're doing a great job, Mike Schmidt. Yeah, she's really turned it around. It's a good thing you met those murderous animatronic robots."
Yeah, I just thought, I was like, maybe, I don't know, she's going through some stuff, and they've been through some trauma. That's her way of coping. Yeah, that's what I kind of.
Okay, fair enough, but to me that was like
I checked out a few times, so I don't know.
So, but that whole arc, like that again, the writing, so bad.
See, like you were mentioning before, how when you're writing something, you have an editor come in and like take out things that don't move the plot forward, and I feel like that's why I really feel like this was just not edited, or it was edited like a little bit, because like I've written stuff too, like I've written stories, and it's so easy to like trail off into backstory. So like if you don't bring it back together, you get a movie like this. If you move forward with something that isn't done, it's not done.
Well, the problem is they were probably sitting there and they're like, when the first draft of the script was done, they're like, there's not really much here, so we don't have much to edit. So we'll just, like, can you imagine what they actually edited out? God, it's probably more dream sequences.
I guarantee it is. There's 75 of them. No,
Can we talk about the dream
sequences?
Holy shit. We spent so much time sleeping. Mike goes to sleep like 11 times in this movie.
But I don't know why. They could have just had, like, this... Unless they wanted these ghost children to come to him in this dream.
No, the idea is he's already into this whole sleeping and dreaming thing when we first meet him, because he's trying to remember his brother's abduction, because he thinks he knows what the man looks like. And even though he was... he's like 12, and now he's 30. He's going to recognize the man, and it can somehow solve the mystery of his brother's abduction. If he sees the man in his dream from 20 years ago, he's going to know what he looks like 20 years later and be able to identify him, I guess. I don't even know what he expects to get out of this whole dream scenario. But
they say that it's, you can see a memory, and he knows that he saw the guy that... I kind of don't hate that he did this at the end. Like, when you see, they're like, focus on your sibling that's still here, and focus on... it's kind of all said where... It comes out that it's the same guy that abducted his...
and that shit was all so convoluted.
Yeah,
oh my God.
So I was like, okay, he's
like,
so focused
Can we spoil the ending?
Well, yeah, we're
Matthew Lillard's the villain, and it was just like, no shit. When they unmasked the villain, it was literally like an episode of Scooby-Doo, because they had not introduced any other characters. They introduced Matthew Lillard.
I didn't.
They killed the other 3 characters that they introduced. And then there was the cop chick who was there when Matthew Lillard came in, and the kid and Mike. And unless it was going to be the black teacher chick.
I didn't.
Or the aunt.
Or the aunt. It could have been or the lawyer. They're the only other characters in the entire movie. There could have been nobody else but Matthew Lillard. The whole time, just like, it can't be anybody else but Matthew Lillard.
See, I didn't think that, because I think I forgot. Like, I watched the movie in 2 parts, so like 2 days apart.
You forgot Matthew Lillard was even in it.
But when I did.
Holy shit, Shaggy's the villain. Ruh-roh, Scoob.
Well, it made sense, but in the beginning, when I was originally watching that he was a counselor, and he's looking, and he makes a face and goes, Mike, like, looks at his last name and then goes, I got something for you. I was like, oh shit, is the aunt like somebody in this town where she's got a lot of money?
She's got pull, he's in on it.
Realizes,
it was like, is he in on it? That's
yeah, like I just was like, oh, but I didn't, I had no idea this was a game. I didn't know anything about this. I was like, something's weird about that, but it looked like he was almost like scared. Like, not like, I'll get this guy. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it seemed like he was working for somebody. It didn't seem like he was behind anything. I was actually surprised to see that it was Matthew Lillard.
Yeah,
I thought it was going to be a whole new character that we haven't seen before.
That's exactly what I thought.
I thought it was going to be someone else.
The thing was, like... I mean, Lillard, when I'm watching it again, he does seem kind of shady. And he's like, yeah, I got something, Nick. I got something for you, for a guy like you.
But I thought he was working
He even says
somebody.
for a guy like you.
Yeah.
So now I'm like, does Matthew Lillard know? Him. Like, and again, like there's, okay. So, spoiler, Matthew Lillard... He's the one that's abducting all the kids and putting the kids are in the suits. Supposedly, the spirits of the kids, of the children, are in the animatronics.
And their bones.
That he abducts.
That nobody's smelled ever.
Well, see, that's the thing. That's why Five Nights at Freddy's shut down, is because of the smell coming out of the animatronics. That's the whole thing. So Matthew Lillard plays a character named William Apton. He's the guy that killed the kids and shoved them into the animatronic suits. And that's why the place shut down. Because of the smell. They couldn't handle the smell. Well, that was the second time that it got shut down, but they don't even mention the other shit.
Yeah. Well,
but here's the thing too. So he kills kids at Freddy Fazbear's at the pizza place,
and that was before it shut down. And he shoved the kids into the suits, and their souls possess the animatronics, and that's why they're alive and conscious.
Right.
Because they're possessed.
And so was he? So apparently he was out just abducting kids randomly in parks prior to his Freddy Fazbear's. Because
is his brother Garrett somebody, or did he just die?
What do you mean?
His brother, Garrett, the one that was abducted.
That's the one who was abducted, yeah.
Yeah,
he killed him.
Is he one of the?
No, he just killed him. He's
that would be a good story.
That would have been a good
one of them.
Did he take him back to the? But no, he wasn't one of them.
Why was I was thinking that I was waiting for somebody to come out, and he's like,
because the kids went, but the kids went missing at the Freddy Fazbear's though too, right?
I think so. I'm pretty sure
the kids went missing at the.
So that's the
they did say that.
She says
in
no.
the 80s.
So when the convenient hot cop shows up, and she gives so much exposition.
I was like, what's
it's just like, oh my God, there's so much. Yeah, for a minute you're like, okay, she's like a villain. Which eventually she's the daughter of the villain, but...
Well, no, when she first pulled up, I was like...
She's not like a bad character, though.
No.
She's not evil. She is in the game, though, which we
really?
found. Yeah,
she's
actually
later in the game.
She killed like 9 people in the game.
So maybe she becomes... she becomes evil, maybe in the next few.
But yeah, I was surprised to see that she was trying to help them, considering that...
So, when she first pulled up, I was like, oh, here's our love interest.
That's right. Like easily.
And then, but then it got weird because I was like, why is this cop like taking walks with him? Like,
so she says
happening?
Vanessa tells Mike that the restaurant closed during the 80s after 5 children disappeared there.
Yeah.
So... those 5 kids are in those animatronics.
So he was just killing other kids.
So I guess, prior to that, he was killing other kids,
maybe he was working on it.
Including Mike's brother. And then Mike just happened to...
How old do we think Mike is?
I don't know, but here's another question, right?
Yeah,
Here's another question for you. Here's another question for you. Okay, so, and I don't know, this one just kind of was past everybody. So Matthew Lillard's character is... this guy, what's his name? William
Afton.
William Afton. And William Afton owned Freddy Fazbear's. Mm-hmm. And now he's working as a guidance counselor. He's like a career counselor. That's his. So this guy is, he ran an unsuccessful... an unsuccessful pizzeria that got shut down because 5 children went missing, and somebody thought him fit to counsel people on careers. How did he get this job? What the fuck is going on? How did this happen?
Maybe he killed that person.
And then
took their name. Literally took their name.
I mean, it makes no sense.
No, it really does.
Oh my God, it makes no sense. He's a career counselor now.
Yeah.
That's his day job now.
Yeah.
Is he still abducting children somewhere? Or
Probably.
he just goes back to he just goes and visits the place? I don't even understand. What was his end game with Mike? Oh, I'm going to kill you too now, Mike. I killed your brother. And then he's going to kill the sister. The sister's going to join the... I'm so confused.
And then what do you do with those animatronics? You can't even open. Are you just having parties with them?
You and the animatronics are just hanging out. He's
out.
putting on his suit and they're dancing. He's jumping up and singing duets and shit. Karaoke with fucking Freddy Fazbear.
I would have liked a little bit more, because she's like, oh, my father, he was a bad man, but a genius or something. I don't know, maybe say, my father wanted somehow to have animatronics not be electrical, and he was going to take over the animatronic scene until they all died off. I don't know, something. There's got to be a reason that you did this. They
didn't give us anything either. They gave us nothing to work with.
Yeah, if somebody was like, oh, he wanted to just, take over, whatever.
We don't even know, what his end game was.
No, that's what I mean. I needed just a little bit of something. It could have been 2 sentences.
See, that's why I'm so angry, because, he's a very, very important character in the games, and I felt like they're not even touching the tip of the iceberg with any of the lore, and it was just...
Do you think they just paid Matthew Lillard, to be the end one, and they were like, shit, we have him for a whole day, so let's make him the guy.
He probably had 2 days. He probably had a couple days on it.
I'm just kidding.
He probably had 2 different days on it, I'd say. No, he had to have the setup there at the beginning, too. I definitely believe that was all planned.
No, I know.
Because Hollywood likes to think they're clever like that. They probably patted themselves on the back afterwards. Oh, good job. Yeah, that was a good job on that script treatment. Oh, you did great. I had that trauma. Yeah, I had a twist. And they're going to be fucking amazed when he pulls it off, and it's Matthew Lillard.
I mean, he did a good job. I will say he did.
He did a good job. He turned shit to fucking.
But like he
watchable shit.
Every role that Matthew Lillard plays, like he could play any role that you give him. You can throw anything at him, and he'll do a great job.
Well, let's bring it back to Scream. Speaking of him, and like our kill scenes or the stab scenes and the daughter at the end. That was another brutal thing where right in the gut
yeah.
where I immediately, and it's funny because we were talking about this earlier, how that was always just like the end, like you're dead kind of thing.
You get stabbed in the gut.
I was like, initially I was like, damn, he killed his daughter.
Killed his own daughter, yeah.
But unlike Scream, I said, like, we're Scream, they were stabbed like 27 times, and then we would go, and this is the most recent one, and sprint down the street, you know, after, at least this girl was on life support at the end of this movie, where I was like, that's actually completely feasible. Like, that could have absolutely happened.
Yeah.
You don't always die when you get stabbed in the gut, but usually watching a movie, you're like, oh, damn, that girl's dead. But she wasn't.
Yeah. Let's talk real quick, too. And here's another part that I really... So I guess we talked about the gang, and Abby's babysitter is part of the gang. She's, like, infiltrating and giving the aunt information behind the scenes, and this whole thing was like a bad episode of fucking Real Housewives or something like that. It was the backstabbing and all this shit, and she's actually on this team and made an alliance with this one, and it's just like,
I think they thought that it was actually like pushing the plot forward, but
yeah, well, I mean, they tied it together, interestingly enough, because she gets killed. It's like the aunt sends these idiots in to
mess up.
We're gonna get Mike fired, and then he loses his job, and then he'll have to give up his sister, and then you can get her. So how do we make that happen? I'll pay you idiots $1,000 to break in and mess the place up. Oh yeah, that'll get him fired for sure. And then they fucking don't even have to break in because he forgets to lock the door. And they just go in and trash the place, but that the animatronics kill them. This is the only people that are killed by the animatronics, and besides the opening guy.
Yep.
And it kills Abby's babysitter, which forces Mike to bring Abby to work. Like, that was like the big catalyst. They went through all of that. They jumped through all those hoops. It's a lot of hoops. I'm so tired jumping hoops.
I actually didn't even put that together until right now. Like, the babysitter. Oh, yeah, that's why she started having to come to work.
Because she wanted to go with him the one night, and he was like, no, you can't come to work. On the second night that he was working. Because it's 5 nights. So on the first night and the second night she wanted to go with him, and then the third night the babysitter's dead, so he has to take her with him.
Yeah.
And so Abby goes to work with him, and does he go to sleep? Because he goes to sleep every day he's there, but he goes to sleep and just leaves Abby fucking playing with the robots and shit.
No, she was laying, because when he wakes up and she's screaming, he looks over at her little spot with like the little lamp. I guess she was reading or coloring or something, and she's not there. So she was supposed to be sleeping, like it was the middle of the night. But she's screaming, and she's like, "Hey, stop tickling me," or something.
That's right. Yeah.
I was like,
oh my God, that was just infuriating.
Yeah, and we get the whole like montage
of them building a fucking fort.
Building a fort.
Oh my God, I forgot about that.
There's a whole like friendship thing with.
There's like this.
They're all laying together, holding hands,
and they're all happy, and it's like this super like happy montage. And I'm just like, what the fuck is happening here?
I forgot about that. But why did the cop want that to happen either?
I don't even know.
Like, she's watching them that they're good, and she probably doesn't want to like piss them off.
No, she don't want it to happen because she warns him not to bring her again.
That's after, but this is before. They're building, and then she goes and she gets electrocuted. But that's when she's like, "Don't bring her here again." But it's like, why were you just making her think that they're her friends? Like you were totally a part of building this fort, and then you're like, "Don't bring her back." Well, why did you just make her so happy? You know? Like, I don't get it.
Right.
I don't get it.
Yeah, on the fourth night, that is. On the fourth night, Abby's accidentally injured when she, Mike, and Vanessa are bonding with the animatronics. Vanessa learns Mike is attempting to identify Garrett's kidnapper and warns him not to bring Abby to the restaurant again. Mike gets Jane to babysit Abby, much to her frustration, as he goes back to the restaurant during the day and overdoses on sleeping pills. Because Mike just can't sleep enough.
Which is just so weird. Why does he keep going to sleep?
Yeah, so that's so he keeps going to sleep to try and figure out.
I get it, and the ghosts can actually communicate with him
through his dreams. That's what he thinks is these child ghosts will communicate with him through his dreams. So he keeps wanting to go to sleep and talk to the ghosts. And look, man, I get it, but. Like, we could have done this in 1 or 2 dream sequences.
Yeah,
there were way too many. And I felt like, wasn't it like the same thing over and over again?
We're not.
But it was just changing a little bit, yeah.
We're not on Nightmare on Elm Street.
No,
we're not in the Dream Warriors. This isn't Dreamscape. This isn't, I thought I was watching Five Nights at Freddy's. I don't know what the fuck dreams have to do with Five Nights at Freddy's and why we're spending so much fucking time in Dreamland and less time in Freddy's, but...
We could have had like 2, maybe 3 tops, but I think there was like 6.
It was so many.
I don't know.
Yeah, there was 6. There was like
6.
5 or 6.
That was like the whole movie.
Yeah, and they were long. They would go on for so long.
So drawn out. I mean, the whole movie was really drawn out, but like those dream sequences, like
in the beginning of the movie,
really
having like
it almost felt like there was like not enough to make a movie on what they wrote,
like
and they were like, let's throw in another dream sequence. Yeah, throw in a dream sequence. Sounds good. Let's shoot another dream sequence.
It was ridiculous.
I think one thing that really bothers me about the dream sequences is you get to see like the ghosts of the dead kids that are in the animatronics, and I feel like that plus them being all like friendly with them and them not being malicious whatsoever, that takes away any kind of intimidation that you would expect from a killer animatronic.
Yeah.
It doesn't make them scary anymore, even though yes they are killing people, but like
the only thing I could think the reason they did that is because they probably are very nice to the main guy's daughter, the cop. Like, so she probably grew up being friendly with them and playing with them because that was her dad's creations. And also, they were trying to get Abby to like them. But like, so I get.
I'll tell you why they did it.
I don't know.
Well,
not the whole.
I know why they did it. There's a whole reason for it, but like I feel like I just feel like a lot of the movie was spent with the animatronics being friendly.
Yeah, and here's why. I'm gonna tell you why.
I know why.
All right, what do you think? What do you think?
Well, I feel like they're trying to bond with Abby because you notice that.
Oh well, for the purpose of the movie.
That's for the purpose of the movie. Yeah.
Right.
But
no, there's another reason.
Oh well, what's your reason?
Merchandising. They want to sell toys.
They already sell toys.
I know, but they want it to appear like these things are friendly with kids and don't like adults. So kids will buy the toys. So they're still like friends. They don't want the kids to be afraid of the animatronics because they want to sell the toys. You know what I'm saying? Like,
there's a fine line between killer at things because even with my kid, and she likes the killer. What are those things with the weird faces from? I don't know. They're from one of the video games. I'm really bad at this. I don't know any game names, but
like Huggy Wuggy.
Yeah,
was that the one?
Yes, yes, it's Huggy Wuggy. So she would come up to me and she'd be like, "Huggy Wuggy's gonna kiss you to death or kill you." But these things are creepy looking, but they're not like super scary where they can go back and forth.
Like kid scary.
It's
like
kid
friendly.
So this, if the game is scarier than it appeared in this movie, and as scary as you were kind of saying with some jump scares, I could see how they want to have them appear.
It's an appeal thing to the kids to be like, hey, these are your friends.
They're
they don't
killer
like adults.
ones.
They just don't like adults. Because that's one of the things that happens is like when Abby bonds with them, they don't like Mike. They're very he's standoffish to him on that first night.
But then why some
and
of
it's
this
not
is
until
so
Vanessa
brutal?
is there.
He kidnaps kids and then puts their dead bodies in animatronics. Like, then the kids that they're trying to appeal to aren't really probably going to be watching this movie.
I don't know. Well, they also
I feel like they're appealing to people like the kids who have played the game already.
Yeah,
because like they're already kind of familiar with it. But I feel like those people are going to be angry at that too because like that's not how they behave in the games whatsoever.
Yeah,
it's like the whole idea of the first game was what you're told by the guy on the phone when you first start the game is like these animatronics. When they're in this like security mode, like they're also built to be security and protect the building. When they see a human, they think it's wrong, so they want to put you in the suit so you're like them. They're trying to correct you. So they're not necessarily malicious, even though, yes, they're literally killing you by putting you in the suit. But that's how that goes.
Right, which makes sense why they wanted to put Abby in the suit at the end.
Right, yeah. And then, they want her to be with them. Mm-hmm. So that's the way to do it.
Yeah, I think they could have sold these.
Gotten...
They could have sold these. They're cute by themselves without making them nice in the movie.
No, but again, I think that it was...
took away any kind of, intimidation.
Again, some filler. They needed, And again, why else have the kid in there if you're not going to, have it play with these things and, bond with them? And you're going to go one of two ways with it. Either that or she's going to run horrified and screaming from it. And they didn't go that direction with it, unfortunately, so...
No, I get why they wanted them to bond.
Everybody's friends thing.
Yeah, I just thought it was a little much. It could have just been all right, Abby, let's get going. They're my friends. No, they're not. Come on, we gotta go home.
Right, but once again, they draw it out.
It was so much of let's build a fort. Oh, now it's gonna rain. Let's get a roof. Okay, I don't need all of that. It was, and dancing and this, and it could have just been her thinking that they're her friends. And us being well, let's get going, and her wanting back. I don't know. Just in Megan, where she's that's my best friend, and she's no, it's not. Yeah. Same thing.
On the fifth night, we have, and here's the real kicker. This was a classy move. The children appear in Mike's dream because, of course, he goes to sleep again. Fifth night, fifth dream.
Maybe that's how many it was. Maybe it was 5. Or 6.
But I feel there was more than 5, though, because he was the other places dreaming, too.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm making it up, but...
So he has his dream, and the kids tell him that he can stay with Garrett forever in exchange for giving them Abby.
And why did he say yes?
And he says yes!
Why did he say
this motherfucker says yes! Okay, deal. You can have my live sister, and I'll go be with Garrett forever.
In a dream.
In a dream
forever.
World, right? What the...
why? I don't understand. Why is he so obsessed with his brother that was abducted?
Because he felt responsible.
I get that he feels responsible.
But you're going to sacrifice your sister for him?
It's 20 years later, dude.
It could have been said differently where they were because we get this, he looks sad, and we're oh, he doesn't think that he's fit enough to raise his daughter or his sister, so he's saying, yeah, take her, she'll be better off with you, kind of moment. But I'm that's a ghost boy. That's 9 years old saying he's going to take care of your sister.
Right.
Why would you ever think that that's okay?
Yeah. So Mike initially accepts the proposal, but then he changes his mind, and he's attacked and wakes up strapped to the torture device. It's going to put him in the fucking thing, and we saw earlier with the security guy that there was a loose bolt, and that security guy didn't make it work, but Mike is way more adept, and he gets the bolt out and frees himself in that scene, of course, because he's the hero. Gets severely wounded by Foxy, and this was another one of my favorite parts, right?
I liked Foxy.
This is one of my favorite parts. Best. So, if you remember, Abby was with the aunt, right? But we need Abby on set now. We need Abby on site here so that she could be put because the animatronics. So,
the taxi scene.
Yes. Meanwhile, a damaged yellow Freddy animatronic possessed by the blonde boy kills Jane and takes Abby back to the restaurant in a taxi.
Oh wait, they did kill the aunt?
Yeah, they killed the aunt.
So
they don't show it. I think it was like an off-camera kill.
Oh,
he just shows up there.
That. Yeah, I don't
and I think it's just implied.
Kidnapped her.
Oh, okay.
And takes but he takes the girl, but he gets in the cab. The cab driver's just yeah, come on in, animatronic and 8-year-old girl. Come on in. I'll drive you back to wherever you want to go.
See, I didn't think that this scene was that far-fetched because she gets in and he's like, where are you going? And then he looks and he gets scared and he's like...
I remember that
He
scene,
goes,
yeah.
oh, people are weird. So they kind of says he just thinks it's like an adult...
In the fucking animatronic, I guess, that's taking the kid to...
Or maybe he thinks it's like a toy or something.
I think he thought it was an adult, and he was like, because he makes a comment about them being weird. Yeah. So
I don't know, man. All right, so put yourself in that taxi driver's shoes.
They probably seen it all.
You wouldn't just question, hey, I'm going to need to see some ID or something, or your face or something, or else I'm going to have to stop at a police station and make sure you're really this kid's parent? Like, I'd feel a little weird. Like,
I don't know, taxi drivers
just some
that would
silent,
go all that.
some silent.
If I'm a taxi
adult
driver,
in a
I don't want somebody...
rabbit costume with a kid at what time was it?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, this is during an overnight. Mike works overnight.
She's like laughing.
Mike works third shift.
I know, but it seemed a little bit.
So it's like 2 or 3 in the morning.
Yeah, so
and the cab is picking up a fully grown adult in a rabbit costume and a child to take them to this abandoned pizza place and drop them off, and you're not. The cab driver doesn't think that's a little fishy. Come on, man!
Wait, the cab
Come on, it's Ronin's rant time.
The cab driver waited outside for them though, because he's in the post-credit scene out front of the place.
Yeah, with Balloon Boy.
Yes. That scene didn't really bother me as much because he gets in and he questions. He's like, it's late. Like, where are you going, little girl? And she laughs, and then he like gets scared. He's like, oh, fucking weird people, something like that. So, I don't know. That Dude, kind of
that
dismissed
whole thing. I would be like, nah, get out of my cab. Or I'm calling the cops or something, dude. I mean, I'm with Mike Schmidt on this one. I might jump out and beat that fucking rabbit's ass and be like, this is not your kid. I don't know what the fuck.
Calling the cops on weird people now.
Especially if we show, like, you're having me drive you to an abandoned pizza place?
Oh, yeah.
At 3 a.m.? Like, I'm sorry. Nah, we're going to have to swing by the station first. I'm sorry. Make sure this is on the up and up, because I am not buying it.
Yeah.
I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. I'm sorry. I'm not buying it.
That's like the least of my gripes with this movie, though.
Because could you imagine, like, you're that cab driver, you drop them off, and then there's an Amber Alert an hour later for the missing fucking kid.
Oh, yeah.
Be on the lookout for a cab with a giant rabbit, and this 8-year-old girl, and your fucking cab is on the fucking Amber Alert on the highway now, and you fucking, oh my God, like, I just don't buy it. All right, if you can suspend your disbelief long enough. Also, where did they get money to pay the cab? Which one? Did the 8-year-old girl or the animatronic rabbit pay the cab? I'm just curious.
How did he get to the house first?
Well, I guess he took the cab. He called the cab. Did he walk?
He must have walked.
He walked. The animatronic rabbit just walked.
But then they had to
the
take
aunt's
the cab
house
back.
And then took the cab back after killing the aunt.
Yeah.
Getting Abby. Yeah, well, of course he took a cab back. Why not? I'm surprised he didn't whip out his phone and call an Uber and have the app on his fucking Uber. Oh, God. Hold on, wait.
No.
217 million. 217 million worldwide. Animatronic rabbit took a cab.
I think it was a bear, but
same thing. It was a bear.
No, it was the rabbit. It was the fucking... Yeah.
It wasn't Foxy.
The purple one?
No, it was Fifth Night. It was Foxy, sorry.
Oh, it was Foxy.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. No, meanwhile, a damaged yellow Freddy animatronic possessed by the blonde boy kills Jane and takes Abby back in a taxi. Yes. It was the damaged... Yeah. So it's a damaged animatronic.
It's the Golden Freddy. I don't know what it is, but I know it's a big thing in the game. People are talking about it.
He is a big deal in the game, mostly because of the way that he kills you. Because like he'll give you a game over just out of nowhere. Like you won't see him coming.
Yeah,
and he's broken.
Because they show him broken in the back, like thing in the beginning.
He's like in storage. Like he's a broken animatronic.
Yeah,
in storage.
And I guess there's a dead kid in there too.
It was the same one that was in the original one, though. The original bear costume. The blonde, like the main kid that he's talking to, that's the one that comes to the house.
I thought that was the one that was Freddy.
I know.
Or, yeah.
I think so too, but...
Yeah, he's Freddy.
Well, then
but there's
he's in their house, though. It's him.
Yeah. Freddy's in the house, and that's who kills Jane and gets the cab and brings Abby back.
So it's regular Freddy.
I guess.
I think.
We got
I don't even
know.
It
says a damaged yellow Freddy animatronic kills Jane and takes Abby back to the restaurant.
I don't know.
If he's yellow, then it's Golden Freddy.
All right, well, there you go. That's damaged.
I think maybe he floated into the other animatronic.
He's floating everywhere. Anyway, all right, so Vanessa, our hot cop, finds Mike and treats his injuries. After Mike explains his dream, Vanessa reveals that she's the daughter of William Afton, the serial killer who murdered Garrett and the 5 children by hiding their bodies in the animatronics, and that their souls are under his control. Realizing that the animatronics plan to kill Abby, Mike rushes to the restaurant with the necessary equipment to disable them. Which is what, like a taser? He's got like a taser.
Yes, like
taser.
That's the necessary equipment to disable them. Mike disables Freddy and Bonnie and stops Chica from killing Abby, but is attacked by Mr. Cupcake and separated from Abby, who is pursued by Foxy. The animatronics are eventually defeated, but they are reactivated by Steve, who arrives wearing the yellow rabbit suit, as he reveals himself to be William before knocking Mike unconscious. And we get our big reveal. Steve is actually William Afton. Steve, well, I guess he got a new identity, and that's how he got the job as a guidance counselor.
Yeah,
he's guidance counselor Steve.
Yep.
He's no longer William Afton, but he was still doing some Afton in the background.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah, so they all, I don't know, they kill him.
Well, Abby draws a picture of William murdering the missing children in order to free the animatronics from his influence.
Make them
Did anybody else catch that?
Yeah.
I didn't even catch that.
No.
They say it out loud. Make them remember. And she goes over and she draws.
Oh, and she draws the picture.
And then he goes down and he hits the switch, the circuit breaker, and there's like one light that goes on, and they show the picture, and you can hear like kids screaming, and it's just like.
I don't even this is so.
I only
like a
remember that because I just saw it again.
Yeah.
Because
I remember it kind of happening again. It was so convoluted. My God.
Let's just get to the end of this.
So Vanessa attempts to stop William from interfering with the plan.
He
stabs her.
Yeah.
And that's when we think that, wow, he killed his daughter. He didn't kill his daughter. Before William can kill Mike as well, Abby shows her drawing to the animatronics, and they turn on him. Mr. Cupcake bites off part of the suit, triggering its internal spring lock mechanisms, which fatally wound William.
That's kind of gruesome.
Yeah, it was a bit. I like the close up that they had on that with the spring lock going into him, and you can see the blood starting to go on.
A very little bit of blood staining.
It was a little bit, but it was still like
amount, just enough to keep it PG-13. But he puts on the head and says, "I always come back." Which is, if you don't know anything about the game, you don't know this.
That's a reference because this isn't the first time that he's killed kids. He's actually, known for killing kids, and he always does come back. And see, the thing, pretty much what we watched was the birth of Springtrap, which is William Afton. That's his corpse eventually, because, it kills him. So that's his corpse inside of the suit, and he becomes a character in the third game. And you can see his body inside of there. He's a really interesting character. But you pretty much see the birth of Springtrap. You get to watch him die. But yeah, his corpse is now inside of the suit. So it's kind of funny because that's what he did to all the kids that he killed. So now is kind of biting him back now. So it's a really interesting death for him. But yes, he does always come back. Unfortunately.
I don't know the game, and I don't want to ruin anything for any movies coming out later, but now that he's dead, in an animatronic or not, and his daughter's on life support, wouldn't they just take that place and be like, yeah, we're gonna bulldoze it and just...
You would think.
Or they would auction those things off.
I feel like in the second movie he's gonna be full on Springtrap and
so then who's signing your papers? Who's doing your taxes?
And we don't see what happens to him. I mean, he's in the suit, and the other animatronics drag him into a back room.
In the post scene, he's reaching and dying.
Oh, was he?
Yeah. Doesn't the little kid close the door?
Yeah, he's Freddy. He's the ghost kid that was Freddy.
Yeah, so we don't actually see the final, but we see him just kind of shutting the door.
He's dying.
Closing the door. So Mike and Abby, of course, carry a wounded Vanessa. She's not dead, wounded out of the restaurant. She falls into a coma afterwards. Is taken to the hospital. And Mike looks after her, and him and Abby resume their normal lives.
Mm-hmm. Somehow.
However that can... Well, Mike says at the end, he's like, I'm going to focus on you, not my dead brother.
He should have done that from the start.
I'm going to live in the now and not in the past. And that was his big character arc. That's his big character arc. That's what he learned. Through all that dream sequencing and fighting killer robots and all this, he learned to live in the now and appreciate his sister who was alive and not dwell on his brother who was dead. Mm-hmm.
And all it took was some murderous animatronics. I mean, that's all it takes for you to have that realization.
Yep. Glad murderous animatronics can bring him to that self-realization.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Freddy Fazbear. We appreciate you.
Yes. And as a result, Abby was doing well and socializing and talking with real children just the next day.
Scared her straight.
Yep, scared straight. Mm-hmm. That was it. That's all it took.
Yeah.
Bonding through a fun, happy, joy montage scene with some killer robots.
Yeah.
To scare you straight and make you have friends and talk to people again.
Scared Straight with the kids that were juveniles. They would send them to jail.
Oh my gosh, those! Oh my god, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I think we need to bring that back. Fuck, I think that's part of the problem with the world nowadays. Is we don't have Scared Straight anymore on television, scaring these fucking kids into acting right.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a show for another time.
All right.
So yeah, and the movie ends with them all living happily ever after, I guess, until part 2.
Until the next one, we'll see.
We'll see what happens in part 2.
Yeah.
Now we see Balloon Boy in the taxi. Front, but whatever.
That's another thing. Like, he's from the second game, I think. Mm-hmm. And that's just like an Easter egg for people that know the game, because Balloon Boy, everyone hates him. I hate him. He gives you a game over so fast. He crawls through the vents. This little fucker. He's crawling through the vents. And, like, you take the camera away because you're looking at all the screens. And, like, you take it down and he's right fucking there. Yeah. He's always right fucking there. I hate him.
So I think we get that where everyone, the two people that see him, like, hate him in the moment. It's kind of a little jump scare.
Yeah. He's always right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, do we have any trivia? We got some trivia in here.
There's a ton of trivia.
I mean, I already did kind of my rant. There was so much I could rant on this. There's so much child endangerment and so much just not making sense. The just the underutilization.
We were ranting the whole time. So a little bit of trivia, just so we can bring it back to something that we appreciate about this movie, is the animatronics and Jim Henson Company's work.
Yep.
It says because of Foxy's skeletal-like structure, he was built as a full-body animatronic puppet and performed by Russ Walco, along with a group of puppeteers from the Jim Henson Company. In shots where Foxy walked, it took as many as 6 puppeteers to accomplish his full range of movements.
Wow, that's crazy. They did a great job.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's great. And they have these things built now, so they better, I mean, they're obviously making it.
They just had...
just do a good job with this next one. That's all I ask.
I feel like... maybe, I don't know.
They just had a thing where they had the suits from the movie, and, like, you could go up and, like, get pictures with them and stuff. Like, there were people dressed in the actual suits. I don't know where it was, but it was really cool. I saw pictures from it.
That's cool. So, like in the games, Foxy can be heard humming before he attacks. He's the only character with a voice. The rest just lip sync to predetermined tunes programmed for the shows. Yeah. Apparently, Scott Cawthon, he's the one that created the game. Mm-hmm. He revealed that multiple screenplays were considered, as well as explaining why those... he explained on a subreddit that multiple screenplays were considered, as well as explaining why those screenplays were rejected. I would have loved to have seen why he picked this screenplay.
Yeah, I kind of want to go and take a look at it.
Yeah. Let's see.
One thing I will point out And a couple people have mentioned this on social media. There is a Stu Macher kind of homage Easter egg in there. If you remember, there's no blood on the knife, but when he's in the suit, he does.
Does he do this?
Oh, does he does the ghost face thing?
I didn't even.
He does the ghost face.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh.
He does the ghost face grab.
Now I gotta
pull
go
the
watch
blade.
that.
Yeah, that's
like
awesome.
that.
Yeah. So
That's
there was
like
a
the
little,
classic
little
Ghostface,
homage to Stu Macher there. I mean, there were again, there's some cool stuff in here, but it's just the story is just so bad. So bad. I'm just looking at little Easter eggs and stuff, but yeah, that was one of the things that people noticed.
See, the more things that are revealed about like this and all the other Easter eggs, like this really was a fan service movie. You're absolutely right about that.
Absolutely. It's a total fan service
Totally.
movie. And that's what, I mean, it's... If I'm going to sit here and review it as a fan service movie, that's one thing. But if I'm going to sit here and review it as a movie, I got to be critical of it. And the story was shit. The story was ruined by a bunch of extraneous, inconsequential, Hollywood pandering, fake forced trauma bullshit. Mm-hmm. It's just like characterization isn't forced trauma. People aren't like, I get it. Some people are defined by the trauma that happens to them in their lives. Some people it haunts them. Some people are just defined by, strength of character, of just being hard workers or whatever it was that you don't have to have everybody have this. Every main character has this trauma shit. Like you can have a main character that just, hey, he's a blue collar guy, or hey, she's like a woman that's worked her way up to get where she is. Whatever the case may be, it could just be somebody who's just done some normal shit. I think. And
adulting.
Right. I think they're trying to connect us all too much with this trauma stuff now, and everybody wants to feel bad, and everybody wants sympathy, and this, feel bad for me,
I wouldn't even question if it was like, that's my little sister, I take care of her. Cool, go. That's a family. That's a regular family in America.
Sometimes that's the way shit happens. You don't even need to have all that backstory.
Even if it was just very little. Oh, our parents died when we were young.
But here's
and that would have left you so much more room for actual content in the movie.
Well, here, and this is the other part of it, and I've said this before in other reviews and other times that we've watched movies. You get to the point where you make these characters unrelatable to people because you're trying so hard to include or diversify or do something. Now you're making it unrelatable. Now you've pigeonholed it so much to like your main character had his brother abducted when he was 12. Oh, okay. Well, I can't relate to that. I didn't have a brother abducted when I was 12. I had totally different trauma. Mm-hmm. So if we're focusing on our fucking trauma all the goddamn time, now I get, well, where's my specific trauma now I need?
No,
everybody's got to have their needs. No, man. I just need a normal dude that I can relate to be the fucking lead, or normal woman, normal person that I can relate to.
Yeah.
Everything doesn't have to revolve around some horrific trauma that happened in someone's life.
That's what I mean. And they could have just been my brother, I'm taking care of my sister. Okay, fine. I don't question things anymore because every family looks different nowadays. Like, that they're trying to...
they have to explain everything.
Explain everything so much. And this is something... I just saw this, and earlier I was like, oh, I wonder if they would do this, but... Director Emma Tammy has said that there will not be a gorier director's cut for Five Nights at Freddy. And I was thinking earlier, I was like, there could be like a second, like an...
No, I think they knew right off the bat. They're like, no, we're going to make this movie, and it's going to be PG-13, and it's going to be for kids, and we're not going to put any gore in it. There's no blood. There was probably not an R-rated cut. They probably didn't have to cut anything out of this to make it PG-13.
I think the most intense, gore, I guess, that we got was, there was a point in time, I think it's when the people broke into the place, Freddy actually, chomped somebody in half, and I'm like,
yeah, but that was so quick.
Yeah.
That was so quick, though.
It was
and it was almost like silhouetted, wasn't it? If I remember
it was silhouetted, but you see the body drop to the floor.
Right, but you don't actually see blood or intestines or internal organs or anything.
A little bit of blood,
but
that's
shadowed.
it. Yeah.
You just see like even the blood is just drips. I don't think it's red. I
saw the tiniest splat of blood, maybe at one point.
I think that's why, they knew this was going to be PG-13. That's all. They just wanted this to appeal to the wide tween audience, get it out there quick in time for Halloween, and cash in on the property, on the IP.
That's all this so was. Funny.
It was a cash in on the IP.
We hated this movie. We're like, we're going to breeze through this and just talk about this. And we have spent this a longer amount of time ranting because we hated it so much.
I know. That's what happened.
And there was a lot of hate.
I know. There's so much crap.
Yep. But yeah, you just... By the time it gets to the end, and I don't even like the main character, because I'm like, dude, I'm like, stop it. Like, I like the actor, but the character makes, again, bad choices. He's going to sleep. He's so fucking involved in his dream shit and, like, neglecting his sister, and you're just, like, he's questioning himself. Should I raise my sister? I'm thinking, you should probably give your sister, because you are terrible at this. She should probably take her. Mary Stuart Mason should probably take Abby. Yes, the Anne should probably take care of Abby. She looks like she has some money. She could afford lawyers. You look like you can't even cook ramen, dude. What the fuck are you doing? Like, I had no sympathy for the dude. None. Especially after the brutal beating he lays on the guy at the end. I'm like, wow, you got issues, man. What the fuck? Like, there was not a lot of redeeming qualities of the character, so, I don't even like him through it.
And we could talk in circles about this, too, but which I feel like we are at this point.
I know.
He's really not, he's not that likable. The backstories were awful. The
little girl's not very likable either, though.
Not really.
You're just like, what's there to like about
They're underdeveloped, too. Like, you gave the guy a backstory, but you didn't give him a personality. That's the big issue, I felt like, with the main character. Same with Abby. She's your typical little kid. But she was very boring. It was just like, we need a kid character, just throw her in there.
Yeah, we need a kid so that the kid can relate to the robots, and the robots can sell toys to the kid.
But yes, they're very underdeveloped.
All right, well, nothing else to rant about. I mean, there's plenty more we could probably rant about on this, but we're going to wrap it up here. Going to get to our final thoughts. We've done our trivia. We've done some ranting. Stunts, there wasn't a whole lot of stunt stuff to talk about in there either on this one.
Not really, no.
Nothing worth talking about.
No. So let's give our final thoughts. Ladies first. Go ahead and start over there, Steph Infection.
Final thoughts. This movie made me angry. The writing was awful. I hated it. I hated every moment of it. We went through everything. I think that if they wrote it a little bit better, then a lot better, but just even the storyline, like everything was just awful. I would have appreciated it, but I appreciate it because there's, spots that people that like the movie will, they'll like to call out, they like to see things that they're familiar with and nostalgic, and I get all that, and I appreciate that part of it, but I hated it. I hated the movie. It took me 3 days to watch. Totally through. I also think it was way too long for a movie like this. So
an hour and 45 minutes isn't that long. It just feels really long.
Oh, it said an hour and 49 on
49.
Felt like an eternity
on Peacock, and I was like, it did. It felt so long. So where there was all this filler of dreams and crap, I was like, I don't need this. We could have had a quick movie. I don't know, a quicker movie.
Yeah.
Cut 20 minutes out of that, and I'm good. I don't know. It was crap. So that's my final thoughts.
Yep. Maddy?
Well, I also hated the movie completely. I felt like it was very poorly written. It was very rushed, as we figured out before. I felt like this had a lot of potential to be a really cool movie, but it was just a total flop in my opinion. I felt like they could have done a lot better. Total fan service. Something that I really did like were the animatronics. Of course, Jim Henson Company. They look exactly like they do in the game, and something I think is really interesting. The only thing that's different is that they cover them in fleece, where in the games they're like a metallic, like they have a hard shell over top of them. So I'm assuming that maybe that was for lighting purposes for the movie, but I didn't hate that at all. I actually really like the way they look, kind of soft like that.
Probably too, because it's like a Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah, because Chuck E. Cheese, that's all fabric, all different kinds of fabric. But that was I liked that different touch. But yeah, if you're a fan of Five Nights at Freddy's, I would, I guess maybe watch it. I don't know. It was a really shitty movie, But if you like the game, there will be things that you appreciate. But I feel like unless you're a fan of the game, it's just a crappy movie. But bad movie.
Yeah, I'm gonna round it out. Same thing. If you play the game and you want to admire the fan service that is on display here, because that's all this is, go ahead and watch it. Don't expect much. Expect the same kind of Hollywood drivel we've been getting lately from a writing standpoint. It's exhausting. I wanted to like it. I was looking forward to it. Because even though I didn't play the game, my son played the game, and I know of the game, and I know a lot about. I hear a lot, and I know the hype surrounding the game, and I know that the movie was very hyped up. So I was very eager to see what they actually did with it. I'd watched Willy's Wonderland, and I enjoyed it enough, and I watched Banana Splits, and it was okay. That was another missed opportunity, but again, missed opportunity. I feel like this was a huge missed opportunity, similar to like Spirit Halloween. They get this property that could be like, you could have this big store and have all this different sections of store and have everything actually taking place in that one big location. Even the place felt really small, and like it was just like one room where the animatronics were. The stage was kind of small. They had the back room, like.
I think that's because of budget.
Yeah, it had to.
I guess
in the game, it's a pretty big building in the game.
Is it a big building?
There's a big like hallway and.
Yeah, but I mean, if they're shooting this thing, they shot this in Louisiana, in New Orleans area, and I know for a fact because I'm in the industry. They have a huge tax credit in Louisiana. You get film incentives down there. They could have found someplace. There's all kinds of warehouses and stuff like that are vying to be used. They could have found someplace a little bigger. They could have gone a little bigger. I just felt like, again, this was rushed. This was like it feels like, okay, we got the IP. Okay, Jason Blum's over there like, oh, I can almost smell the money. Let's get this fucking turd churned out here.
Yeah.
Crank me out a script and let's get this baby into production. We got to get it done by this date so it can be done for Halloween. Mm-hmm. And get it into theaters because I want to make some money. And this was his big one. And this was just because the IP was so big. This is a total fan service, churn a turd.
Yeah.
And it worked. I give it to Blum. I give it to him, man. He knows what the fuck he's doing. This was $217 million.
Yeah.
I can't recommend it. I can't say it's a good movie. But I'll say if you want to watch some Five Nights at Freddy's fan service and be able to pull out, and be able to call out stuff that you know from the game and have fun that way, that's cool. You'll enjoy it.
Just don't watch
That's the only reason to watch it.
Yeah, but don't sit down. Don't sit down and expect to watch a good movie because it is far from a good movie.
And there's not enough animatronics. Like,
you'll get frustrated with that too.
There's just so much irrelevant crap.
The animatronics were great. They look great. There just should have been more of them. You have these things. Why not utilize them? Why not have them on screen more? Why spend so much time?
We have so many questions, and we just
Five Nights at Freddy's, and I feel like half the movie I was in dreamland, in the middle of a fucking field, like a park.
And it was a drawn out dreamland, like it makes you want to go to sleep.
Yes,
I need to go count how many dream sequences.
It was awful. I felt like, another thing is I felt like a lot of the character development, dream sequences, all the irrelevant stuff was so drawn out. And then the actual fun stuff with the animatronics was super quick. It's like,
totally.
Did you do that on purpose to us guys?
Right.
Yeah.
Why?
The whole second act is like dreams and nothingness.
And
like
so
first is fine, and then they get into there's like the kills, and I'm like, oh, here we go. Oh no, there's no more kills ever in the movie until the very, very end. Oh, okay. Yeah. Like it was just like that was it.
Yeah.
So
that's another thing is like they had to keep it in the PG-13 realm. So like there was a lot of setbacks I'm sure they faced with this as well.
Yeah.
So that just makes it even worse because you have all the issues that they faced making the movie, and now you got to make sure that it's PG-13.
Right. I thought there was going to be like a couple more I don't know, like jump scare-ish with the
'Cause that's all
animatronics
about
in the middle.
The game,
And I don't know
the game was a
game.
jump scare game,
But
right?
like even with his dream, like maybe him waking up and it just being right there or something. I don't know. Like
He didn't even have jump scares in the dream.
there was nothing.
Like you could have had it. Like he could have woken up from like the dream with a jump scare or something.
No,
Like,
there was nothing.
Okay,
No, but I
like-
just mean even with the animatronics, like them moving around.
Yeah,
like, we were barely shown them in the middle act. Like I was like, okay. all right.
And
there was a lot
like
of.
the,
It was
the
a
jump
lot of.
scares were in the movie. Like you get a couple jump scares, but they're not like they are in the game. They're. It was so like you weren't even trying. You
No, and
weren't
it was a
even
lot
trying.
of. It was a lot of Mike Schmidt dreaming and then telling people about how he's dreaming.
That was.
I'm
most
doing
of
this
the
dreaming
movie.
thing.
That was most of the movie.
You see, if I could remember in my dreams how
That my
who
missing
the face
brother.
was of the guy that took my brother, I could figure out the mystery.
Oh, and you had a brother that was abducted, and all these kids were missing here. Oh God.
Yeah, terrible. All right, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it on our final thoughts.
no
Thumbs
more.
down as a movie. No good.
Nope.
So, all right. I'm sure there's plenty of you that are going to disagree with us. Some of you are just probably listening to this because we hashtagged Five Nights at Freddy's. And they're just like, yay, I loved it because I'm a tween and I don't know what a good movie is. I just want to see Balloon Boy.
Oh,
And that's
they turned us off an hour ago. Okay, those ones turned us off an hour ago.
Well, if you want to curse us out, you can email us at
DeadsvilleHardTalk@gmail.com. Subject, mailbag.
Mailbag. All right. Make sure you subscribe, like, follow, comment.
Yes.
What did you think of Five Nights at Freddy's? What did you think of our thoughts of Five Nights at Freddy's? Have you played the game? Comment. Leave some comments. Shoot us an email. Let us know.
Yep.
All right. That's going to do it, ladies.
Yes,
Another
it is.
fine episode. High five.
All right.
High five. Yeah. High
High
five and white guys. All right. Let's do it for that'll do it for us here at
Yeah.
Deadsville Horror Talk. Stay spooky.
Bye, Scream Hearts.